It's no secret, at some point in our lives, we all have fantasized about being rich and being wealthy. We've all thought about living that dream life that we see all these wealthy people around the world living. Let me ask you something. Have you ever bought a lottery ticket? Why did you? Because you have hopes and dreams of becoming rich one day. But the big question is, if you do happen to become rich one day, and I sincerely hope that you do you have that knowledge and that discipline to handle that kind of money properly? The sad fact is, if you do become wealthy one day, chances are that that wealth is not even going to stay with you for very long. Now, I bet you're going to say, Amit, you don't know what you're talking about. If I win so much money, I'm going to be so careful with that. I'm going to invest it. I'm going to save it. I'm going to live a frugal life. No, you're not. How do I know you're not going to manage it properly? Let me give you some examples. Do you know when Michael Jackson passed away in the year 2009, he was actually $400 million in debt? Yeah, you heard me right. $400 million. He was literally bankrupt. So much so that that home he had, the Neverland home, that was even close to foreclosure. And he took out loans that he never even paid back. One more example, Nicolas Cage. He blew out $150 million of his hard earnings, just blew it away. So much so that he had to sell his cars, his properties, and many of his art collections and prize collections because he had nothing left. Another one, Floyd Mayweather. He was so rich that they actually called him by the nickname Money. He went bankrupt. Another one, Mike Tyson. He earned over $400 million throughout the course of his career, and he was $23 million in debt in the year 2003. In 2015, 50 Cent was $32 million in debt, and he declared bankruptcy in 2016. Who doesn't remember MC Hammer?
Can't touch this.
Back in the day, at one point in time, he had $30 million sitting in his bank account. But in 1996, he declared bankruptcy, and he was $13 million in debt that he just couldn't pay back. Want some more examples? Dennis Rodman, Kim Basinger, Marvin Gaye, Burt Reynolds, Meatloaf, Willie Nelson, Larry King, and I can go on and on all day, all night long. These are real life examples of some of the people that we know who either went completely broke or bankrupt at some point in their life. It's no secret. We all try to make as much money as we can throughout our lives. But what's the point of making it if we don't have the ability and the knowledge to manage that money and keep that money properly? You want to know an astonishing statistic? Approximately 70% of all the workers here in the United States live paycheck to paycheck. And right now, we have the highest credit card debt in the history of this country. You want to know what the figure is? I'll tell you what the figure is. The figure is a whopping $1.2 trillion. Yeah, you heard me right. Trillion with a T. I mean, can you even believe that? Do you even know what $1 trillion is? So it brings us to one really important question. What does money really mean to you? Are you one of those persons that no matter how much money just comes into your life, somehow or the other it just magically disappears? What good is it if you make so much money during the year, but at the end, you just have nothing to show for it? Money is a really tricky thing, and sometimes it could put us into some really vulnerable positions. So much so that many of us get ourselves into trouble trying to make a quick buck with some get-rich-quick scheme, or being fooled by some financial guru who told you they can make you rich in a day by buying their course or some like that. Well, today, you and I, we're going to do something really important. We're going to uncover why these things happen to so many of us and why we find ourselves in these positions in the first place. And together, we're going to take a little deep dive into understanding what money really is, something that schools, colleges, universities never taught us. I have a question. If I were to ask you, what does money mean to you? What would your answer be? I mean, I can tell you the official definition of money. The official definition of money is a medium of exchange, an instrument used to facilitate the sale, purchase, or trade of goods between two or more persons. But me, I like to think about money a little deeper than that. I think of money as an expression of value. You give someone a certain amount of money in exchange for something that they're going to give back to you, and you believe that that thing that they're giving back to you has a certain amount of value to it, and that it's worth the amount of money that you're giving to them. So this is something that I always wanted to keep in the back of your mind. Money is equal to value. And I'm sure at some point in your life, you probably heard the phrase saying, money is the root of all evil. We look at some of the rich and wealthy people in the world these days, and we automatically think, oh, that guy must be so evil. How many people did he have to hurt and scam in order for him to reach to that point? They must have taken advantage of so many, or they probably just got lucky. What we never really ask is what value did that particular person create or make in order for them to reach to that position that they're in. Prime example, Jeff Bezos. He created Amazon. The whole world uses it today. He created value out of practically making the whole world a retail store. Mark Zuckerberg, who created Facebook, he practically changed the way you and I communicate in the world. Elon Musk, like him or not, he's an innovator. He gave us the electric vehicles. Larry Ellison, the owner of Oracle. Whether you know him or not, chances are you got things in your home that runs on his hardware and software. Bill Gates, the computer guy. We all have a computer now. So I really can't agree with that statement that money is the root of all evil. So we should really look as money equals value, not that it's some type of evil thing. I mean, how could it be evil? The evil lies in the minds of the people that hold it. And whether they choose to use that money for evil or for good, that's totally up to them. Take this for example. I got $10,000 right here. I can use this to go and feed a bunch of homeless people, or give it to someone else. He might actually go blow something up with it. So is it that the money is evil, or is it that the person who's holding and using the money is evil? You tell me. Write it in the comments. I'd love to hear your opinion. And of course, there are always those scammers out there who try to convince you that whatever they're selling to you has so much of value. But that doesn't have anything to do with the actual money. That has to do with that person's morals. Money simply is a tool that opens options and broadens the horizons for you. And the things that you choose to do with that money that you have has everything to do with your own mind and your moral value. Oh, and by the way, go ahead and smash all those buttons up right down there, because I want to stay connected with you, because this conversation is going way too good. Now, how does all this change the reality that we live in, that everyone seems to be living paycheck to paycheck nowadays, and most of us being overburdened by credit card debt? What part of saying that money equals value even helps this situation? Well, the first thing you got to figure out is, what is your relationship with money? Money is going to come into your life in some way or the other, and just as it comes in, it's going to leave at some point in time. And how does this happen? By your income and your expenses. But I like to look at it a little bit finer than that. I like to look at it as, how much does a person produce versus how much did that same person consume? Money always enters your life when you have actually produced something, whether that be making a product that you sell, whether providing service to someone in some form or other, or whether having a 9-to-5 job. You produce some kind of value, and in return, you get money. On the other hand, money leaves when you consume something. When you buy a car, when you buy a house, when you pay your rent, when you pay for a subscription, when you go out to a restaurant and have something to eat. In other words, you could look at a net worth of a person as a direct relationship about how much they produce and how much they consume. Let me ask you a really serious question. I want you to think about all the money that has entered your life and just left. How much of that money do you still have in your possession? And how much of that money did you save or actually put it into an asset or some type of investment? So what's the solution to all this? Well, we got to work on both things, the production side and the consumption side. But the main issue lies on the consumption side of things. Remember earlier we said that 70% of people were living paycheck to paycheck? Well, there's another interesting statistic. There was a study done and it showed that 10% of people who actually earn more than $100,000 or 6 figures a year, they live paycheck to paycheck. There has to be some kind of imbalance somewhere, and I bet my bottom dollar that the problem lies with the consumption side. All these celebrities that we spoke about earlier, I'm sure all of them could tell you that it has nothing to do with the production side. It's the consumption side is the issue. A lot of people like to say the rat race is working a 9-to-5 job or something like that. I don't agree with that at all. I think the real rat race is living on the financial edge constantly. And the real issue is being one paycheck away from being totally broke. I mean, that feeling that as soon as money comes into your account that it has to leave to go and pay something, that feeling is horrible. And let's don't even talk about losing a job or having some sudden health emergency. That could throw your life into a total tailspin. And then there's the mental consequences that we face for living a life like this. Because we find ourselves in a position where our job no longer becomes an option for us. It actually becomes a necessity in order for us to keep living the lives that we're living. And basically we reach to the point where the things that we own end up owning us. So how do we get ourselves out of this mess? The first thing you need to figure out is, what is your relationship with money? And what's the first thing you need to do? Well, first, you got to start journaling all your expenses. you got to write down every single penny and every single dollar that you spend on your housing, your transportation, your food, your entertainment, every single thing that you spend on. You need to start writing it down. 2, I need you to make a budget. You should know exactly how much you have allocated for transportation, housing, food, and whatever your expenses. You should know exactly how much you're going to budget for that for the month, and you need to stick to it. Probably the most important part, stop buying expensive that you just don't need. If your iPhone 14 or your iPhone 13 is working just fine, you don't need an iPhone 16 Pro. Which brings me to a really serious problem. You ever heard of that phrase, keeping up with the Joneses? That's where we try to match the lifestyle of all our neighbors and the people around us and try to do the things that they're doing. You see one of your neighbors buy a new car, you want a new car. You see one of your neighbors renovate their home, you want to renovate their home. Although you can't afford to do it, you're still going to do it because they did it. But an even bigger problem is, long ago, the Joneses used to be considered just the people in our street and in our neighborhood. But now, with social media, the Joneses has become the entire world. We care about what the whole damn world thinks about us. And we judge that by seeing how many likes we get on our posts and how many comments and bad and negative comments that we get. These are the things that we care about now, and these are the things that keep us down in our lives. And this is probably one of the worst things that we can ever do to ourselves. We actually start measuring ourselves and our worth by what other people have to say and what other people think about us. Now, am I saying that consuming stuff and buying stuff is a bad thing? No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is you need to stick within your means and live within your means. So it's really simple. A budget and keeping track of all your expenses is something that can just keep you out of this whole rat race. You know, it's really fun to talk about making money or imagining that we have this huge amount of money in our bank account. So what's the point of all of it when your relationship with that money means that as a consumer, you're just going to lose it all anyway? And that, my friend, that's the real rat race. So let's talk a little bit about making money. Now, it's no secret that it's a little more difficult to actually make the money rather than to reduce our expenses. Cutting down our expenses is easier. Making that money could seem a bit harder sometimes. But a lot of people fail to realize that making money can actually be an easy thing if you put your mind to it. What's the easiest way? You got to find a problem in that world and find a solution to that problem. All you really need to do is find a way to increase that productivity in you. Find out what your individual skills are and learn to solve a problem with those skills. It's that simple. Let's give an example. Let's say you work as a firefighter and you go on the job and you see a problem with the smoke detectors or the smoke alarm, and you know that there's a better way to fix these things and a better way and a better product that you can make. That by itself is an opportunity right there. No matter what field of work you're in, at some point in time, you're going to see some type of problem in your line of work and you're going to be able to find a solution for that problem. And there's your opportunity right there. And these are how all these rich people did it. They saw a problem, they saw an opportunity, and they took it. Now, this is the part where I tell you to go and click up and hit up all those buttons down there. Let's stay in contact because we got a lot more to discuss. So I'll see you in the next video.